Good morning, my name is Eugene Osei-Tutu. Welcome to another episode of The Breakdown, show ably produced by Leo, my wingman on this. Today we are looking at ballot position. Last week the MPP, the top 5 aspirants did the balloting, and the position has been made known, but there are some people asking me, Eugene and Leo, do you think that ballot positions have a certain impact on elections? Today I'll be taking you through a lot of research articles. I'll be taking you through my opinions. I'll be taking you through the facts. I'll be taking you through the data. So when you come on my screen, these are the 5 aspirants the MPP is presenting to their delegates on the 31st of January 2026. You have Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the former Vice President, the former Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ohene Ejapon, the former Education Minister, MP for Bosomtwe, Dr. Osei-Tutu, the MP for Abetifi and former Agric Minister, former Deputy National Security Minister, Dr. Brian Champong. Then, so this is an old picture. I have to have Engineer Kwame Ejapon here. So this is the position as we have it. And as you can see, this letter was dated the 10th of October 2025. We have Kennedy Ohene Ejapon as number 1. Dr. Brian Champon number 2, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia number 3, Dr. Osei-Tutu number 4, and Engineer Kwame Ejapon number 5. Now let's go through the numbers. In the lead up to the New Patriotic Party's November 4, 2023 primaries, the party held its official balloting on September 13, 2023. When they did the balloting then, that was 2 years ago, to elect Dr. Bawumia, this was the position. Kennedy was number 1. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was number 2, Dr. Owusu-Afriyie-Akoto was number 3, and Francis Adenimo, who has withdrawn from this particular contest because of the development fee of 4.6 million cedis, was number 4. At the end of the day, Kennedy was 2nd, Bawumia won. So that has been the narrative of the MPP leading up to this particular contest. Now, this raises an interesting question. Does ballot position really influence who wins an election? Now, let's go through the psychology of ballot position. Psychologists and political scientists call it the order effect. The idea that placement of names on a ballot can subtly shape voters' choice. There are 2 main theories that they propound. They have what they call the primacy effect. What is the primacy effect? It is when voters tend to pick the first name they see. They also have the recency effect, when others remember the last one they read. So, for example, someone will say, oh, Thomas Partey is a good player than Michael Essien. It's recency bias, because Gen Z, how many people saw Michael Essien play? It's a recency bias of a sort. So someone can say that, oh, this player is good than this player. Jamil Lamar is better than Robinho, Ronaldinho. They've seen that Jamil Lamar. They didn't see much of Ronaldinho. They've seen his videos. That is what an example of what a recency effect is. That is when you remember the last one you've read. However, the effect varies based on the type of elections. So let me break it down for you. In mass public elections with long list of names, low literacy, or limited voter familiarity, positions can matter. What does it mean? It means that when you're going into a contest where there's a lot of people on the ballot, so for example, 2007, when the MPP had 17 people on the ballot, in a country where literacy is low, why do I say so? Ghana goes into an election and the 3rd candidate is rejected ballot. So clearly it means that voter education is low. In delegate-based elections like the MPP's delegate election that is coming up on January 31, 2026, the effect of these ballot positions, per what the psychologists and the political sciences tell us, is minimal. Because here we just have 5 people. Unlike the national election where you have, let's say, 6, 8 people. Again, here, compared to the national election where the voter roll is about 17 million, in this case, the voter roll is just about 250,000. So really, the impact of the ballot position on the elections are minimal. Now, let's go through what some of the political scientists have said in the past when it comes to ballot positioning. They say that when you take, for example, Dr. Ali Duseidu from the University of Ghana, he said that the effect is only significant in general elections with low literacy or many symbols, not internal party elections. So that basically explains what I said about the explanation I just gave, that the effect is only significant in general elections and not internal elections. Because the general election, the numbers are quite broad, but when it comes to the delegate election, the numbers are few, so you can control the mechanism. Now, there's also an example from Australia, where when you read from King and Lee, they argue that the first ballot boosts the share of the candidates by 1 percentage point more, meaning that if Leo and I are going into an election and Leo's name appears first, there seemed to be some advantage Leo gets, and that advantage, when they tested it by the data, is about 1 percentage point more. Now, when you go to Ireland, they also analyzed the election data from 1977 to 2011, sorry. What they found was that, let me read for you, where ballots are alphabetical, it was observed that candidates listed earlier in the ballot tend to receive more preferences and vote. The effect is particularly noticeable in systems where votes rank several candidates. So it seems as if that anytime there's a lot of candidates, anytime there seem to be more people on the ballot, the first person on the ballot seems to enjoy some minimal advantage. Now, some will argue ballot order can matter in African election because of the high number of spot ballots and symbol confusion, as I said. But in this contest, you will not see any symbol. You just see the names of the candidates and also the general symbol of the MPP. So that is why I talk about the minimal impact. Now, for example, in Ghana's 2020 general election, the Electoral Commission recorded some 313,000 spot ballots, enough to sway tight parliamentary race. So, if, for example, if the candidates were 17, as compared to a 5, you have it now, maybe Kennedy would have enjoyed some advantage, but as we speak, it's a bit minimal. Now, what will make Kennedy win? What will make Bawumia win? It takes me to what I describe as the Trinity. So yes, ballot position may offer some psychological edge, because let's not kid ourselves, Kennedy will have the best slogan going into this election. You know, by now, Kwamna song is ready. By now, Ejako songs are ready. But Bawumia will struggle, because to going through the various social media platforms, you can see that Kennedy saying that, oh, Esroha, Kwabena Japan is saying Aseho and all that. So it has some psychological effect. But for me, going into any serious political campaign, there's something I call the Trinity that I believe if any candidate takes seriously, they will win. 1, the strategy, how well you organize and target your base. 2, the resources, the funding, the logistics, and the people behind you, and the message. The clarity, the consistency, and the conviction of what you stand for. Now, let me break it down. What do I mean by the Trinity? What is strategy? I believe that the strategy is the compass of every election. Strategy defines how a candidate wins, not just the how or the why. It's about knowing your audience, choosing your battlegrounds, and planning your moves ahead of time. So, Bawumia, based on 2023, will know the regions that voted for him. Kennedy knows the voter region voted for him. The central region voted for him. So that is your key battleground. You need to put in a strategy to maximize your votes. Now, when you read from the various theorists, the political scientists, they argue that politics is about who gets what, when, and how. The how is strategy, sequencing your moves to control narratives and timing. So the how is very, very important. The strategy is very, very key. There's a book I'd like you to read on, maybe if you have some time. It's called The Game Theory in Politics. It says, each player, that is a candidate, anticipate others' moves. Optimal strategy depends on predicting reactions, not just acting first. So by now, Kennedy's strategy should predict what Bawumia say as he begins a nationwide tour today. And they need to be able to, bring together some, strategies to be able to combat what Bawumia will say. Now let's go to the next one. So in summary, basically what I'm saying, that strategy determines efficiency, how to spend resources, and where to amplify the message. That takes me to the second point of what I call the Trinity. That's the resources. It's the fuel of every campaign. Money is the fuel of every campaign. But is resources just about money? No, it's not just about money. It includes logistics, the volunteers, the data analysts, the media exposure, and political endorsement. That is why Bawumia is chasing after MPs to endorse him. That's why Kennedy is chasing after MPs to endorse him. That's why Brian Champon is doing the same. It is very, very important. Now, success in political movement depends less on grievances and more on mobilizing tangible and intangible resources. So tangible resources, money, you can touch it, you can feel it. Endorsement, you cannot touch endorsement, right? But it's intangible resource. It does something. So when an MP endorses you, there's a high affinity that his constituent also believes in your ability. So that is also an intangible thing that you need to do. Now, let me give you some data and example. Now, in 2020, the Afrobarometer survey that they said that 62% of Ghanaians believe money play a major role in politics. That is why I believe resources is important, meaning that out of every 10 people going to vote, at least 6 say sika ufia eye ya de kwanchan de na ya sika ka ho eye. When you go to the US, the Center for Responsive Political Show believes that 91% of House representatives who outspent their opponents won their race. That is 2018. So even in the cathedrals and established democracies, money plays a key role. Resources play a key role. The tangibles and intangibles play a key role in how you win an election. So for me, resources amplify presence, but poor strategy can waste them. Money wins attention, but not trust. So whilst your strategy is good, the money must be able to maintain attention so that people can focus on you. Now, the last one for me is the message, which is the soul of every campaign. Message is the emotional and intellectual connection between a candidate and the voter. It defines belief, identity, and memory. Kennedy has an identity. Tough speaker, businessman, created jobs, on establishment candidate, on phobia. Bahamia's track record or message, I'm humble. Oh, digitalization, economic messiah. So all these things are important. Your beliefs, how people identify you, it is very important. Voters don't vote for facts. They vote for frames. And how you frame yourself, how you couch yourself is very important to how the voter will receive you. So media and political actors shape what they think about, not necessarily what they think. A good message leads that agenda. So for me, this is a trinity that will win the election. The strategy, the resources, and the money. Lastly, I'll conclude by saying that for me, yes, the ballot position is very important, but also how you strategize, how you deploy resources, how you couch your message, for me, is most important. I don't think Kennedy being first on the ballot necessarily means that he'll win. He will only win if all these three parameters come together. Bawumia will only win if all these three parameters are deployed properly. My name is Eugene Osei-Tutu. Thank you for listening to the breakdown today, ably produced by Leo. I on Wednesday return to your radio with more exciting conversation on your radio. Thank you.